Hey, this is Mad Movie Mark of the Mad Movie Mark Movie Review. Thank you for joining me as I review the 1930 horror science fiction monster film, The Bride of Frankenstein.
Him under my bed at night. He's a nightmare in the daylight, he is.
Hey, that's not fair. I don't think. I could try to kill some of the natural light in this room if it'll help what's going on here. Let me know in the comments if you think that'll help. If this is your first time joining me, I'm reviewing every movie in this book, the 1001 movies you must see before you die. Actually, on second thought, don't mention that in the comments because I'm a bit sensitive and I don't want to know if that can improve what's going on here. This movie, of course, stars Boris Karloff, who was the original Frankenstein, or the original monster in the first Frankenstein movie. It also stars Elsa Lanchester as Mary Shelley and the bride. I immediately recognized her from an episode of I Love Lucy, where she thought Lucy and Ethel were a hatchet murderer, and they thought she was a hatchet murderer, and hilarious hijinks ensued. So it was really awesome to see her like 20 years later in something else and to be able to recognize her. Also stars Colin Clive as Henry Frankenstein, Valerie Hobson as Elizabeth, and Ernest Thesiger as Dr. Pretorius. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. Now, this movie redefined the sequel. At the time, movies were usually quick cash-ins, but The Bride of Frankenstein proved that sequels could be smarter, deeper, and more ambitious than the original. In the original Frankenstein movie, sound was in its early infancy stage. You could tell that in the original Frankenstein movie. And in this one, they've definitely honed the craft. The sound is better. The special effects are better. Everything just improved in this second film. And I really enjoyed it. I really thought they did a great job with the sequel. It turned a monster movie into a work of art. It is infused with dark humor, irony, and emotional complexity. It balances horror, tragedy, and is sensitive in a way that was widely unusual for the 1930s. My favorite part in this film, one of my favorite parts, I think probably a lot of people's favorite parts in this film, is when the monster meets a blind man. And since the man is blind, he can't see how horrific and terrifying this monster is. And he treats him like a human being. He treats him like an actual person. At the time, the monster is injured. The man takes him in. He gives him food. He gives him drink. He talks to him. He calls him friend. The monster actually learns to talk. He learns to say the word friend. And it's really an emotional scene. It's really an emotional part of the movie where the monster is given some empathy. It actually seems like he is a misunderstood being. The monster became a tragic, sympathetic figure. The monster isn't just frightening. He's lonely, articulate, and heartbreakingly human. At the end of the film, there's a really famous line that he says, where he says, "We all belong dead," which is just absolutely heartbreaking. I know there's sequels to this film so it seems like his story has ended at the end. I haven't seen any of the sequels, but somehow I guess it hasn't. But if you're just watching this in the 1930s and you don't know there's going to be other movies, it really is kind of a heartbreaking, you think, tragic ending to the monster's story. And The Bride became an instant icon. Now, not knowing anything about this movie, not have ever seen it before, only knowing clips and footage that I've seen of The Bride, I really thought there was more to her than what there was. So she is frightening. She does, obviously she can't talk because she's just kind of reanimated at the end. She's absolutely terrified of the monster, and she's basically terrified of life because this is not something that you're supposed to be able to do. You're not supposed to be able to recreate life. You're not supposed to be able to take parts of dead people and reanimate them. So clearly it's not perfected at the end of this movie, and the bride is obviously someone who is not a perfected example of how this would work. And she's only on screen for like 3 minutes, which is absolutely crazy. I thought she was going to be on screen for half of the film, or most of the film, or all of the film. There's this big build up to the bride, to who she's like, what she's going to look like and what she's going to be. And at the end, I'm not sure that I was completely satisfied by it. Yes, it's iconic. Yes, her look, how she looks is iconic, how she acts is iconic, but it was a little underwhelming to me, if I'm going to be honest. And I think a lot of that is because I've seen photos of her before, so it's not like it was something that was shocking or surprising to me. I've seen like little clips of who she is and what she looks like before, so I was kind of left with like, that's it, like that's all we're given. That's the whole bride scene in this movie. So like I said, it was a little underwhelming for me. I'll also say that I'm not the first person to bring this up, and I won't be the last person to bring this up either, but I think it needs to be talked about by everyone who reviews this film, is that the title of this movie is incredibly confusing. Now, it's obvious that over the years, the monster has become Frankenstein, because that's just probably easier for people to remember. It's easier to give him a name like Frankenstein than to just call him the monster. It's more billable. It's you can put it on t-shirts, you can put it on merchandising. Aside, just calling him the monster, I don't think would work as good. From what they originally did, where he was just called the monster and his master who created him was called Frankenstein. But the title of this movie is confusing because they still call him the monster in the movie. At no point is he called Frankenstein in this film. He is still referred to as the monster, but the title of the film is called The Bride of Frankenstein. Now, Frankenstein is he is engaged in this film, and he does eventually get married in this film, but it doesn't really move the plot or really matter at all. And the bride in the film, the monster's bride, is called the Bride. So you would think that she was the bride of Frankenstein. Now, is it because Frankenstein created her and they're considering that to be a bride? I don't really understand how they came to that title. I can see if they changed the title over the years. If this movie was once called the Bride of the Monster, and then they had to change it because now he's known as Frankenstein, so the title changed to The Bride of Frankenstein, and it just became confusing after that. But I don't understand why they called it that. It's very weird to me, and I think it just led to more confusion, and it probably led one of the reasons why he's now called Frankenstein is because they title movies like this. It's so bizarre. So essentially what this movie is about is, at the end of the first Frankenstein movie, we are led to believe that he has died in this, at like this windmill, and that Henry Frankenstein has died as well. So when we jump into this movie, it's believed that the monster is dead, but he is not. He is still going around the countryside going, "Arg, arg, 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 arg." And we also are led to believe that Henry Frankenstein is dead. In fact, they even take him onto this table and they tell his wife that he has died. But then he starts moving his hand and he actually hasn't died. Also, sorry, in the beginning, the very, very beginning before all this, Mary Shelley, who wrote Frankenstein, is talking, and she's saying that the first Frankenstein was supposed to have a moral lesson, and that there's consequences for a mortal man who tries to play God, and that's why she wrote the book, and that's like what was the intention, but that the story doesn't stop there. There's more to the story, and then that's where Frankenstein, the Bride of Frankenstein, jumps in. So Frankenstein and the monster, Henry Frankenstein and the monster, are both not dead. Frankenstein had this mentor named Dr. Pretorius, who he goes to visit, and Pretorius is doing all these, he's also trying to reanimate or bring dead people back to life, or he's trying to do some sort of reanimation with people as well, but he hasn't figured it out like Dr. Frankenstein, or sorry, not Dr. Frankenstein, Henry Frankenstein. That's another thing. He's never called doctor. He's called Baron. So I'll say Henry Frankenstein, not Dr. Frankenstein. So he hasn't figured it out like Henry Frankenstein has, where he can actually have full-grown people, because all of his people that he brings to life are miniature, and he hasn't been able to get a full-grown one. So he shows Baron Frankenstein all of his little people that he's created, and basically later in the movie he begs Henry Frankenstein, I want to be able to create what you're doing. I want to bring dead people back to life. I want to reanimate them, but I can't do it without your help. I need your help to be able to do this, because I don't know how you do it. Like, I don't know the ins and outs. You're the only one who knows how to do this. Now, Baron Frankenstein is very much not into this. He does not want to do this anymore. He sees the perils, and he sees that what he did with the monster was bad, that he should have never done it. He shouldn't play God. He shouldn't he shouldn't do all this. But later, his hand is kind of forced because Dr. Pretorius is able to get control of the monster. He's able to kind of bend his will, and he makes the monster kidnap Henry Frankenstein's wife. So he says, if you reanimate a woman with me and you give the monster a bride, then I will go ahead and make sure that your wife lives and nothing happens to her. But you have to help me first. We have to do this together. You have to help me first. I want my own reanimated person. So he does this, and it's a very amazing technological feat. The special effects are grand. The music is grand. Everything is spectacular. And he once again reanimates a woman, and he says, like, it's alive type of thing. And but she is just not a great specimen, I would say. Like I said in the beginning, she just makes a lot of grunt sounds. She's very fearful. She's incredibly she's not attracted to the monster, and eventually the monster ends up getting very offended that the bride is not attracted to him, and he thinks that like no one could love him type of thing, and he ends up telling Baron Frankenstein to leave, and he like collapses the entire tower that the bride and him and Pretorius are in, and that's when he says like, we belong dead type of and that's basically the end of the movie. Very very touching scene, I would say. At the end, you really feel for the monster in this movie. You really feel bad for him. He didn't ask for any of this. He's kind of living this life where everyone fears him and everyone hates him. And I mean, yeah, he does kill people every now and then, but it's because he really shouldn't exist. He's a being that should not be in this world. I thought the movie was really good. I really enjoyed it. I wish that Elsa Lanchester was on screen a little bit more. She's really just in the beginning where she starts telling the tale as Mary Shelley, and then at the end of the film where the last 3 minutes where she plays the bride. I thought she was really good when she was Mary Shelley. I wish she could have been in the movie a little bit more. Boris Karloff as the monster is great. He's really good at the whole type of thing, walking around, looking menacing, looking big, and then going like, friend. When he finally learns to talk, did a really good job. Yeah, all in all, I thought this movie was great. The special effects, like I said, are much better. The sound is much better. I'm like the title confusion to me. I couldn't get that out of my head. The fact that the bride is only for 3 minutes at the end. I wish it could have been more. I wish we could have seen more from her, considering the movie is titled after her and everything is about her essentially and leading up to her being created. I wish there was more interaction with her, the monster. I wish there was more to her than just the last 3 minutes. But iconic movie, obviously. And it's one of the better monster movies ever made. And I give it an 8.5 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. Thank you. I hope you join me next time when I review a movie. I believe it's called Peter Iberson, something like that. I haven't seen it yet. I still have to go watch it. So please join me when I review that. Thank you. Have a great day.